Hey YouTube, I'm Kevin. I'm watching a movie I've never seen before every day this year. Here are movies 19 to 24 with spoilers. The 19th movie is the 2001 film Frailty, rated R. So the premise here is there is a father and two kids, and it's Matthew McConaughey as an older version of the kid talking about his experiences with his dad when he was young, with his brother. And his dad says God spoke to him and said that you will find three weapons and you're going to start vanquishing demons. So they start killing people who are bad people. They're demons, right? One of the kids is like, no, like, I can't get along with this, Dad. Like, you're just killing people. I'm old enough to know that you're just killing people. Like, God didn't talk to you. That's crazy. What are you talking about? I would say this one's a 3 out of 5 for me. The ending kind of soured it in a way. Turns out God did talk to him, and Matthew McConaughey is the other kid. So he's kind of telling it as if he was the kid that says, "I don't believe you, Dad," but turns out he was the younger kid who did fully, wholly believe his dad, that his dad was talked to by God and he was given tools. So it turns out that it is true. They've been vanquishing demons this whole time, and if you kill someone or if you're a bad person or whatever, you're labeled as a demon. And if God gives them a list of demons to kill, so if they make it on the list, then Matthew McConaughey's character goes and vanquishes these demons, and he always gets away with it because he's the hand of God. It's like divine intervention. So I think that's why I was not a huge fan of it, because it just, the whole idea that God told me to vanquish demons, God told me to kill people. It's like, it's a little bit loony, literally the opposite of what we've been taught, Christian or not. Like, it just, I don't know. The reveal was good, but also like weird. So I think that the most interesting part was when he was at the police station talking to the police captain, who ended up being a demon. He was on camera the whole time, but when they go to rewatch the tape to be like, who is this guy, because this guy abducted and killed the police captain, they can't see his face. It has VHS scan lines across his face. So it's like pretty clever. Turns out God made me murderer. Okay, cool. What the hell lesson is that? 3 out of 5. The 20th movie is Predestination from 2014, rated R. It had me going. It had me excited. I really like the idea of Ethan Hawke's character being like a time police kind of guy. He's going back in time to make sure things happen the way they're supposed to happen. It's with Sarah Snook, who's just won Golden Globe or something like that for Succession. She plays Siobhan Roy in Succession, does an excellent job there, and she does a good job here too. This is a pass for me. I wouldn't recommend this to most people. It starts with Ethan Hawke as a bartender, and he is serving a man, but the man is played by Sarah Snook, and he explains that in his past he was a woman and had a forceful gender operation to become a man because of some weird genetic anomaly. To me, I was like, okay, well, there's no doctor on Earth that would like forcibly make this happen. It would be you have to get consent. Don't forcibly make me a man. Like, what? In the time looping that happens, they're trying to catch a terrorist bomber. He gets caught in the blast and his face gets melted. So it turns out that Ethan Hawke and Sarah Snook's character are the same character, just from different time periods, and they had reconstructive surgery to make their face look like Ethan Hawke instead of Sarah Snook. And then it turns out the bomber was that person all along. I don't know. It was just, to me, it was like they basically lost me at the forced gender change surgery. 2 out of 5. Don't recommend. Not worth it. Movie 21 is The Map of Tiny Perfect Things, released in 2021, rated PG-13. This one's time loop more like Groundhog Day or Palm Springs. So this guy is stuck in a time loop. It's less morbid than those two movies, because there's no point where he's just repeatedly killing himself to see if he can like get out of the loop or something like that. It's a lot more whimsical and positive. So he finds things throughout the day, tiny perfect things as he calls them. So he'll see a guy that is expert at the piano, and he is just playing by himself in an empty room. And it's just like one-off things, like an eagle soars down and catches a fish out of the lake. Things that happen at the same time every day, because every day is the same day. and it's cool. So he meets up with Catherine Newton. Turns out she's also in a time loop, and they don't know, what's going on, why they're in the time loop. They become friends, and they start mapping out this map of tiny perfect things. Like somebody gets hit in the face with a tennis ball. Haha. That's a perfect thing. It happens at 4:15 every single day. So it's a cute movie about friends becoming more than friends and what you would have to do in a time loop. This one's an easy 4 for me. I liked it a lot. It wasn't perfect, but I like this movie a lot. So the spoilers are, her mom dies that day. So she is very reluctant to like get into a relationship with this guy, even though they're the only two people stuck in this time loop every single day, spending the same day together. She's very resistant because she doesn't want to lose her mom. She wants to keep living the same day, and she comes to terms with the fact that it's part of life. Death is part of life, and at some point she is going to lose her mom, and at some point they will probably end up out of this time loop. So the last thing that they needed to complete the map, which would then push them to the next day, is they end up kissing at the pool in the afternoon, and she came to terms with the fact that she wasn't going to be alone, even though her mom is now passed. So cute ending. It was a 4 out of 5 for sure. I liked it a lot, and I thought it was very cute. Movie 22 is Coherence, released in 2013, and it's not rated. This one's more of a dimension jumping kind of. As you can see in this image, it's like two versions of the same lady, so it's kind of like you're running into doubles of yourself. This one's a very low budget, very few actors. I think there's only like 5 or 6 people in it. There's a comet going overhead, and when the comet goes overhead, weird, bizarro things start to happen. For example, somebody's phone just breaks. It just spontaneously breaks. There's a blackout, like all the lights in the house go out. And then they start finding weird things. Like a couple people, when the lights go out, they go outside and they see a house down the road. And the house down the road is the only house with lights on. When they look through the window, they see a version of the same dinner party that they're having. So it kind of is a multi-dimensional story. It goes into detail about which version, like there's an orange team and a red team and a blue team and different versions of the same group of people interacting in interesting ways, and then it ends pretty well. I'd say this is a 4 out of 5 as well. It kept me guessing what was going to happen next, and a lot of twists and turns, and you never really know which character is which, and that is by design, because it's very vague on which house they came from. Even though they all came from like the same house, they'd go outside and then they'd turn around and come back, and they would be at a different version of that house. So it was a cool like multi-dimensional story. There's not a whole lot to spoil on this one, so I'm not even going to do a spoiler thing, but yeah, it's a 4 out of 5. What it would be like to meet yourself and the consequences. Movie 23, American Fiction, released in 2023, rated R. So I went down to Laurelhurst Theater and saw American Fiction. This is nominated for Best Picture, Best Actor, Music, Adapted Screenplay, and Supporting Actor. So Sterling K. Brown and Jeffrey Wright are both nominated, and rightfully so. This movie was fantastic. Easy 5 out of 5 for me. It's just great. It's about a family, and it's a black family, but they're just a middle-class family. And he's an author, and he's trying to write stories that are stories about black people that are just living normal lives, normal middle-class lives. But if it's written by a black author, white people are expecting it to be about, like, the ghetto and stuff like that. So he writes a satirical, fictional novel that people might want, but he goes crazy with it. The ghetto and gunshots and drugs, and he's like, there's no way that this is going to sell. And his publisher's like, there's no way this is going to sell. You're just pandering. This is ridiculous. And turns out everyone loves it. It's a very, very, very well told story of a middle-class black family, and I loved every single character in this movie. I highly recommend it. I really want this to win everything. For me, it's the best picture of the year so far. That's the quote right there. This is excellent movie. I won't even spoil it because it's worth watching. It makes you think. The ending even has you kind of scratching your head for a minute, but once you think it through, it's superb. Very, very well done. And then a cool fun fact about it for me is when I was in the hospitality industry, I worked at the front desk of a hotel, and at one point Jeffrey Wright stayed at my hotel, and I met the guy. So it was a cool thing where I was like, damn, this is a perfect role for him. It was a very, very, very good movie. Go and see it. Do yourself a favor. The 24th movie is Emergency from 2022, rated R. This one I would say is very much it's a similar message to Get Out. It's a dynamic between black people and white people. Kind of like American Fiction, but this is a more extreme example of it. So the premise here is there's three not white guys. They're all roommates. And one day they come home and there's a white girl passed out on the floor of their living room. And they are trying to decide what to do. Do they take her somewhere? Like what do they do? Do they call the cops? Obviously not, because if you call the cops as black people with a white girl that's passed out in your living room, like who knows what could happen, right? So it becomes an emergency, and they end up deciding that the best course of action is to take her to the hospital. Yeah, that makes sense to me. I'd give this one a 4 out of 5 because it does have like a good message and it is very, very well told. You can see where their mind is thinking, this is a fucked situation. Like there's no good way out of this. But I think the reason I didn't like it that much is there were certain times in the movie where it was like, say the thing and it will just solve the problem. Because like she wakes up in the car and she's like, oh my god, who are you guys? Who are you? Where are we going? Who are you? Where are we going? And all they say is, we're trying to help, we're trying to help, we're trying to help. Just say, we're going to the hospital. Just tell her the truth. That would have saved a lot, because she ended up jumping out of the car and like running away. And like I said, it's well done, it's worth watching. There's a scene where they get pulled over by the police and it gets very intense. And then I think that's probably the highlight, because it really has these actors really in it. And there's really, really good performances. And then the ending is also pretty funny. I liked it a lot, but I wouldn't recommend this to everybody. And that's a total of 24 movies rated. Stay tuned for 342 more KeveRatings. Thanks for watching.